let's fuck it.
Can't even hear me, I don't think.
Right there. Hang on, Johnny. Lad, before you speak, there'll be an echo. Let me just put my earphones in.
No worries, mate.
Oh, yeah, by the way, I couldn't hear you, Johnny, lads, because pretty much when you're in that bit, I can't hear you. But you're now in the stream. Welcome along. Oh, my God, Johnny, you're a wool.
Oh, mate, just because I ain't got a thick Scouse accent. Oh, wow. Look at the judgments being thrown already, lad.
No, it's not a judgment, Johnny. It's not a judgment. I'm just saying you're a wool. It's a very basic thing. It's not a bad thing. It can't be, but it's not
I've been to Anfield more than you.
How many times? Can you factually prove this?
I got enough.
Go on, how many times? Can you factually prove it? Can you factually prove it?
I've got pictures, mate. I've got a fucking got Phil Coutinho top and shit signed, mate.
Then, and you know what this is? This is all talk until you show some action. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm seeing a blank screen and no tickets. So, Johnny, how about this, you little wool? How about this, you little wool? How about we establish first and foremost? One, you're wrong about the owners. Two, you've been too measly. I was going to games when you was in your. I was going to games when you was in your dad's nutsacks here. So how about this? How about this?
How can you, mate? I was going to games when you was in itch in your dad's bollocks. So don't be giving it that. But
that was too far, Johnny.
FSG,
how could you go that far? No, Johnny, that weren't fair. No, we need to establish something that you
whoa! You can't.
No, go on, you little wool. Let's do this. No, go on, Johnny. Let's do this. We've started something here. Go on, raise your point and I'll counter. Go.
Listen, you can't be giving FSG all this shit and making out that they've done nothing for us. Because they've done so much, lad. Think of the club we was under Gelatinix. Think of the old ownership, of the debt, of all the troubles that we used to have. Fair enough, we don't have that now. But think of what we've achieved. Could you see us winning a league 10 years ago?
Right, first thing I need to raise before I answer your question, which I will answer. It's a big shame that you started that statement with an incorrect fact, which is what you said is that I've never gave FSG praise on anything, which is a big lie, and it's something that you miss if you're not live with me.
What I mean is, within the last 3 days, let me rephrase that. That's very true. You have gave FSG a lot.
So I haven't agreed that FSG have done good in terms of the period under Jurgen Klopp in terms of buying the players. So, for instance, when we had the Coutinho sale and we reinvested, we made the right investments, and every single one was right. In fact, it was nearly perfect to where we were one of the best teams of all time. So I identify this. I identify they are improving slowly but surely the facilities at the football club.
Yeah, you have to look at the model. You have to look at the model, lad.
So what's the model? Okay, maybe I don't know the model, right, so if you tell me
it then. It's like Brentford's Moneyball, lad, right? We buy players low that are good and have a lot of development. We try to develop them, and then we lift them up and sell them for a profit, which then we reinvest in better players to then win more trophies, become more competitive, make more money, because we're a business. We're not a country that can just go, right, I own this football club, this is my hobby, like Sheikh Mansour at Man City. I want Kevin De Bruyne, I want Raheem Sterling. All these players that Man City signed before Guardiola. Guardiola didn't sign De Bruyne.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, he never signed De Bruyne, but didn't he sign like the rest of their team that they've got right now? Like enough.
Without
like
going
Ruben Diaz, Rodri.
I'm not sure, but I knew
Edison.
that crucial players for it, like I've said, that had won City leagues over the last 5 years, like Sterling, like De Bruyne. And I think, did Guardiola sign John Stones? Because I'm sure that Ilkay Gundogan was his first signing.
Yes, Ilkay Gundogan was his first signing. I believe Stones was also signed by Pep Guardiola as well.
I'm saying,
but Johnny, are you
investments from the past? FSG aren't about that. We can't do that.
From the past, I know.
We can't do that, lad. I wish we could. I'm with you. I want to sign Bellingham. I want to sign Mbappe. We all want that as Liverpool fans. We want to see the best players playing at our club every week. But that's not realistic, is it? I like to be a realist.
I'm going to be realistic with you now. Chat, do you know the City that's just won the treble? Isn't actually everyone in that starting 11 bar Phil Foden, who came through the academy, and bar Kevin De Bruyne? Weren't everybody else signed by... Stones was signed by Pep. Weren't everybody else signed by Pep Guardiola? And the only reason why I raised this question is that they weren't all world beaters, but some of them were the ones that were identified in the moment. And if Pep has that control on identifying the players, which I don't think he does, I think the board of directors know a player that he wants, because it's the people from Barcelona, and then they will get that player. Liverpool have a same structure. Is that something that we can agree on? Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp doesn't have 100% control over the transfers. Can we agree on that sole premise?
I can send you the link right now to when Klopp first took the job, right? And he did his first interview, and they asked him, will you make the signings? And he said, no, but I have the final say. So Klopp has the final say on whether they come to the club or not, and that's what I believe because the man said it himself.
So why? But how come there's a thing that happened recently which contradicts such statements? Do you think maybe he said that because maybe it's the best interest to get on the good side of your new bosses, or do you maybe think it could be insincere based on as recent as James Milner? He wanted to keep him, and he didn't get to keep him.
Like this Milner thing, like I pointed out to you in the chat, lad, he didn't want to sign Salah. Klopp said no, I don't want Salah. Klopp wanted to sign Julian Brandt, and look what he's done for Dortmund.
Yeah. So now we're going to question.
It's not just Klopp. The people behind the scenes at FSG that we have behind the club that you don't see, these are the smart people that have got the decisions right over the years with Klopp's help. It's not just being Klopp, lad.
Yeah, so Klopp, okay, so let's say he said no to Salah, which is actually fine based on what we've seen at Fiorentina and his time in Italy at Roma, because he weren't that great. He was okay, he weren't that great. So wouldn't you suggest maybe FSG saw, okay, this is maybe the best right winger that we're going to get right now, and based on analytical data, this is the most sensible right winger with pace that we can get. Therefore, unfortunately, Jurgen, as you don't have 100% say, otherwise we would not sign this player. If you did have 100% say, we're going to buy him because he's the most viable and financially suitable option. Now, obviously, Salah ended up being what he wanted to be, but what if we signed another player who came into the squad, added more to the system, and maybe what could have happened. Either way, the thing that I'm saying, if that's one example, and then the Milner's two examples, how many more examples are there where Klopp doesn't get the final say? And maybe that just suggests the original statement that he said at the start of the season, when he started his tenure, I have the final say. There's two examples where he did not have the final say. How many more did he?
You are right there, lad. I understand what you're saying, but I think what we're saying right now comes down to like the old saying that is just so true. You're only as good as the people around you. And I think people will have basically pitched to Klopp, told him, Klopp, look, you want this player, you want Julian Brandt, but if you look, Salah runs more, Salah works hard, Salah has more shots on goal, Salah does this more. And eventually we'll have swayed Klopp round, and look at what that's done for us over the years because of their pitch and their
that's
great
just you making assumptions. But that's just your assumptions. No, it is.
This is my assumption, but this seems to me like the most logical assumption, don't you think? I don't think somebody at the club...
Not necessarily, based on the fact I've just gave you oppositions that he doesn't have 100%.
You don't understand. No, you're not signing Brandt.
So you're saying Klopp doesn't understand? So you're saying Klopp doesn't understand?
No, I'm not saying Klopp doesn't understand. What I'm saying is the club will not have told Klopp, you don't understand. What they'll have done is they'll have pitched to him and they'll have came to an agreement with him. Of course they will have done.
So you think they 100% came to an agreement with Klopp before they signed Mo Salah? So why did the news come out? Why did the news come out that he didn't want Mo Salah? Because it didn't say he didn't want Mo Salah initially and then he wanted him. It said that he didn't want him. So how come we're now making stuff up?
Because I think, like I've just said, I think they pitched it to him and he said, "No, I want Julian Brandt."
You think? I'm giving you factual. I'm giving you factual claims of things that have happened. I don't want you thinks. Facts don't care about your feelings. I'm in a conversation to where I'm identifying. Go on.
Me and you, like, I'm telling you what I read from, news articles and loads of other stuff, lad.
What news articles?
Tell you what factually happens. I'm not down at, the training ground.
So you can't use your own logic and reasoning. You can't. So one sec, Jonny, because I just want to say one thing and then you can feel free. So you can't use your own logic and reasoning because, when I use my logic and reasoning, I analyse the situation for what it is. I know an employee cannot go out against their employer, or it's not a very smart idea to go out against your employer, even if you have a disagreement. Therefore, the premise that you're using, which is news articles from journalists who go to these press conferences, who wouldn't be at said press conferences if they didn't adhere to the topics that the club would want them to talk about. They wouldn't be allowed in the rooms.
Yeah, but you're missing the point.
I'm not. No, you need to let me finish, Jonny, is what you need. Jonny, much respect, sir. You need to let people finish when you're having a debate. I'm just suggesting this one thing. When it comes to Jurgen Klopp, when it comes to that system, it's one of those things that it's not 100% transparent. And I'm not going to lie, I did kind of lose track of my course. Can you remind me of what I was saying before you interrupted?
Lad, all I was going to tell you, right, is...
I forgot, Jonny. You got me under pressure, Jonny. Fuck you.
If we disagree with our employer, my beautiful, what we would do, and you know it, and I know it...
No, there we go. That's where I was at.
Let me go back. And you would say, look, I'm quitting. I sack. It's over. Has Klopp done that? No, he hasn't. And why do you think he's done that? Because clearly there's harmony with Klopp and the ownership still.
Let me go back to what I was saying, and please don't interrupt me because you know that I can go off course very easily. Jurgen Klopp, it doesn't take a stupid man to identify that maybe it's not the most sincere when McDonald's come and say that their new salad butty is healthy. It's probably not, because guess what? The bread is filled with chemicals that's full of shit. So when Jurgen Klopp comes out into these press conferences, you have to analyse the man and his character. Can I ask you one thing, and I only want a one-word answer, yes or no? Does he like the media and does he like the press?
Yeah.
So Klopp likes the media and the press?
Yeah, I would say personally, in Klopp's tenure at our club for the majority of his time, Klopp has been the best manager in the interviews. He's been the best manager to be put in front of the media.
There's questions that he's understood, but he also knows the game of the press. Will you admit that there's a game that the press have to play to try and get clicks?
He's been the best at that game.
And he doesn't like that, does he? He doesn't like that, does he? But he doesn't like that, does he? He doesn't like it when they try and get specific answers out of him. He's proven this in the past, correct?
Yeah, of course.
There we go. So the only reason why I raise that point is because it's a man who's not going to come out, and even if there is issues at the football club, Liverpool have done phenomenal at suppressing said issues. And you mentioned about FSG and how great their football and knowledge is. Explain to me, when you have a tactician like Brendan Rodgers, you decide to sell a technical player like Luis Suarez and invest that money into Lazar Markovic, Ricky Lambert, Mario Balotelli, Fabio Borini. I'm just simply suggesting that there's a case study that it didn't work out. If you want to say that as well, that's a case study that it didn't work out. And then Jurgen Klopp comes in and he's the only case study with FSG to suggest that he could win every single trophy. Could another manager come in with these resources and win every other trophy? That's what I want to ask you.
I like to look at Spurs' model and their ownership under Levy. I look at United's model under the Glazers, and I look at FSG's model. And I think if I had to pick one of them, and with no biases aside, under what we have done with our spending, with our profits, with our winning on the pitch, all of everything combined, we've done better than any team that's not state-owned. We should be incredibly happy about that, and we should all be celebrating that. We shouldn't be trying to throw FSG out the door, rioting and stuff.
Really?
You don't think so, lad? Would you? If FSG had treated us like Daniel Levy, for example, they would have, football's not the most important thing. What we're going to do is we're going to put, an American football pitch in Anfield, and we're going to focus on all these other ways of making money, right? Instead of focusing on trying to get the best team with the best manager to win the most things you can. No?
But we're not doing that within Europa League.
Yeah, right now. Where was we last year? 1 year, lad.
We got to all. And why didn't we stay there? Because we didn't keep the squad inflated. Yeah, think about it. The one time we nearly won a quadruple, that was our biggest and most stacked squad. Yes or no?
Diaz was injured.
Yes or no? Don't miss me question, Jonny. I answered all yours. Yes or no? Was that our most stacked squad in the quadruple chasing season in terms of depth?
No, not in my opinion.
Jonny, we literally had Minamino, Luis Diaz, Origi, friggin' Salah, Mane, Firmino. What do you mean? It was so stacked. We literally had like friggin' Minamino winning us a League Cup. We had a stacked team, and it was options, is the point I'm making. We haven't had those same options before that season and since that season. In that season, we had options. In fact, you might suggest we had a big squad. Why would Jurgen Klopp be sad with a supposed big squad if that was the closest squad that got him to a quadruple? Come on, Jonny.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, lad. But then also, you've got to think, Minamino was so underwhelming, wasn't he? Fair enough.
No, he was. I agree.
Great FA Cup win for us, and he was important, very important. I'm not taking away that, but he was very underwhelming. Just for example, don't you think Thiago's been underwhelming his whole time at the club too? I can look 100%
at this.
Only player that I can genuinely, I don't have any sort of passion for him, and I hate the guy. I'm happy to see the back of him. Naby Keita. That's the only one. The rest of the players, fair enough, we've had disappointments. Thiago was promised to be this revelation, and apparently Klopp had made sure Thiago came to us because he was a massive factor in this. What's happened with that then? Thiago's been absolutely crap, mate.
No, I agree. But again, who signed him?
Also, Klopp.
Why, so Klopp was a bigger influence in signing Thiago than FSG?
Yeah, because he signed for very little, didn't he? He got to pick where his destination was. Can't you remember the Man United links at the time with Thiago? The welcome to
and then who signed
Manchester.
Him?
Yeah, they didn't sign him because apparently he wanted to go to Liverpool, didn't he? He had
and who signed him? It weren't Klopp who signed him.
Well, I thought that Klopp made the signings, no?
So you thought Klopp made the sign. I never agreed that Klopp made the sign. In fact, you haven't suggested one thing besides your own opinion and news articles from fake journalists to suggest that that's the claim, that Klopp can make all the transfers, which I've gave you 2 case studies to suggest that that factually isn't true. You have gave me none.
I want links to my Instagram, all these news studies and stuff that you're going on about. I want links to the articles.
Okay, you don't need a link. Type in on YouTube right now. James Milner admits that he wants to stay at Liverpool Football Club. You don't need it. You can see him saying it.
I've seen that, and I've seen that Klopp wanted him to stay. I agree with you. That's true.
Yeah, and you've already acknowledged that the Salah thing is true as well, correct?
Yeah. Klopp didn't want to sign Salah, did he?
Automatically, you agree with you agree with 2 case studies, 2 factual pieces of evidence that suggest Klopp doesn't have 100% control. I don't know how that doesn't go in your head.
Yeah, no, lad, all I'm saying is when you say that I've got no evidence or anything, it's not like you're sat here with your BBC article that backs up everything you say, and this is just...
It's better if you have something to support your claim. No, regardless if we're in court or if we're on StreamYard talking about footy, if you have a claim, it allows me to have a premise to agree with what you're saying. At the moment, there's zero premise. And if there's no premise and just claims from false journalists, do you understand the difficulty of me aligning with what you're saying? In fact...
If you'd like to tell me what false journalists I've been talking about and what claims, I'd be more than happy to hear about it, lad.
Suggesting that FSG have got our best interest at heart.
I haven't said they've got our best interest. What I've said is they've had the best model for what they're capable of doing with their budget, right? I've said that look at Daniel.
So they can't do no better.
The Glaziers. Sorry, lad, what did you say?
They can't do no better.
No. Look, how many leagues have Spurs won under Levy's reign? How many leagues?
Doesn't matter. I'm not comparing the most successful team of all time to Spurs. I'm not doing it. I refuse.
See, this logic doesn't. This just baffles me. What you say, when you said yesterday. Look at those kids. They haven't got more food than us. We've got food, so we're all right. See, it don't make sense because if we can't compare ourselves to the people around us that are in the same league as us, competing in the same competitions as us, then who do we compare ourselves to? Real Madrid,
the best.
Barcelona,
yes.
Bayern Munich. Oh, right. So yes. we set our expectations to a foreign level, if that makes sense. We don't look at people close by. No. We go to the very top, to the extreme, and that's what we go for, is it?
A foreign level. Okay, so a foreign level would suggest a place that we're not familiar. No,
wait there.
No, you said foreign. A foreign level would suggest that we're going to a place that we're not familiar with. That's what you would suggest by foreign level. Let me just have a look at Real Madrid's records points tally in La Liga, right? Just because you said foreign level. Is it 100 points? What's Barcelona?
I don't know Barcelona's points tally.
Barcelona record points tally. So you're telling me we've got a 1 point less tally? Our
tally is 99. So have a look at Barca's because I know Madrid's is better.
Apparently their record... No, that's the 22-23 season. Chat, can you let me know these facts? The only reason why I raise is because we got 99. 99 is a huge, significant deal. And you're saying to me that what those clubs achieved was foreign. Therefore, that means we'd be unfamiliar with said territory of being on the level that they was. Yet we still competed on the same stage. You said we couldn't get to the stage. We were on the stage with the Real Madrid. And you're saying that we couldn't reach. It was a foreign. It's a foreign thing to expect what those clubs achieved. We got 97 and 99 points back to back. 3 Champions League finals. If we had extra depth, maybe that could be 2 Champions Leagues and 2 Prems. Maybe that could be 1 Champions League and 2. I don't care. I'm just saying, if you go out that little bit more, if you cared about success the way FSG should hopefully care about success, then you should claim that we are going to go ahead and actually invest a little bit more. And if they're not doing that, which they haven't been doing, then how can you agree with what you're saying?
See, lad, I understand what you're saying there, but also you have to take into account, don't you, that when Real Madrid got their 100 points tally, they was going to places like Parma away and stuff like that. You know, Luton Town away next year, that City's first game of the season, that'll be an hard game for City. They won't rock up to Luton and get the 3 points easy. Real Madrid have some easy games, just like in the French league and the German league and every other league, apart from possibly the Italian league, in my opinion. But you can't compare the Premier League to other leagues, is what I'm trying to get across to you, lad.
Okay. Do you know what, Jonny? I respect it, sir.
So do I, mate. It's been a great debate with you.
I can't see your knuckles, but touch me knuckles, lad.
Yeah, lad. You know you've got me knuckles.
You know my G. Jonny, what's the plans for the rest of the night? Yeah, please don't. You know what, lad? Yeah, now that you've mentioned it, I'm a little bit on party. Love you more, son. See you later, you fucking wool. I never even kicked him out. He just left as I called him a wool. Guys, that's going to be the end of what was an amazing stream. Do not say that Jonny never made that a go-to stream. That was unbelievable. Unbelievable to the highest proportions. And that's going to be the end there. Until tomorrow.